And every time I scored was going to be the last, you know, and that depresses you when you are desperate now to stop. You know, there's like this awakening, this opening. I needed to stop. I knew my life would be so much better without drugs. You know, I just knew it had to happen. But I couldn't, you know, and it's very, very damaging to that when you end up hating yourself. You know, you end up hating yourself to a point where you are desperate to change and you can't.
So you went through the cold turkey in a cell?
No. I only had 10 hours straight that night because he woke me up from my sleep.
Oh, okay.
I went out the next morning and scored.
Despite the fact
Yeah, I'd had this feeling. And I thought, the typical addict, I'll get a little bit more and I'll make that my last one.
Right.
That went on for another 2 years. You know, I was using 5 times a day, maybe in jail sometimes, and every time was going to be my last. Then I got out and you're straight back onto your substances of choice. Couldn't get enough benzos and powder. And I was in a house, you know, a bit of a shithole house that I was renting at the time using. I'd been out of jail a little while. It was a month or so after this fight in question that we've talked about with this fella from Carlisle. It was about a month or so after that. You know, so the last 2 years of my using between getting out of prison and this fight happened in which was the darkest period in my life. This fight happened in that time. Month or so after the fight, my ex-brother-in-law come into the property I was staying at, and he just looked different. He looked different. He was similar to me, you know, using. He just looked different. He had a different look about him. There was a different energy about him. His skin was clean. His eyes were bright. You know, he was in recovery. And it clicked. What I seen in Paul Venice that day on the way to that fight, which I loved. You know, I loved that. I wanted what he had. You know, I wanted that level of spirituality, what he had. I wanted that cleanness, that sobriety, that serenity. That's what I wanted. And I looked at him and it came back. That's what I wanted. I nearly forgot about it. It reminded me of it and I thought, that is it. I could see the light in his eyes. It was there. And he said, I know what you need. He said, you need to get down to these rooms of recovery. You know, the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, which saved my life. You know, absolutely saved my life. The first time I ever went down, I went 59 days clean. In my first day, the first time I went down. And I went down on the very first meeting, I think it was the New Year's Day or the day after New Year's Day in January 2020. First meeting of the year. Because this was New Year's Eve time-ish when I seen this lad about a month or so after this fight. Yeah, and I went down and I felt something in the room straight away. You know, I felt that power, that strength, that unity in there. You know, that everybody wanted the same thing.
And how many of you was in the room?
Maybe 12 or 14 in my first meeting.
Did you feel comfortable immediately?
Yeah, because this person will go unnamed, but there was a particular individual in there who I'd seen about the town for years. You know, it was a mess, you know, a heroin addict, a mess of one as well. And I remember looking at him, he would look so attractive, you know, like it was oozing out of him, mate. His hair was all smart and blonde. He had a nice set of glasses on and he looked clean and he looked healthy and he just looked like I was like, it was him. It was him. And that attracted me to it. Yeah. I was like, wow, if he can do it, I can do it. And the first day I went 59 days clean and I relapsed. It was the longest period of clean time I'd ever endured since I was 11 years old. Well, but you know.
Yeah. But for a lot of people that haven't taken the step to go to AA, CA, NA, all these anonymous groups that help you to recover.
Yeah.
They're still yet to go on that journey where you will relapse.
Yeah.
I mean, how many percentage of people relapse?
Yeah.
It's sky high, isn't it?
Specific, but I can imagine it's rather high.
Yeah. And you can't fear the relapse either.
Oh.
If it happens, it happens. Deal with it. Don't give yourself a hard time. Just get straight back on the wagon.
Yeah, and that's how it was.
And why did you relapse?
I can't particularly remember because I was waiting on my 60-day keyring. You know, and I got to 59 days and for whatever reason probably decided I needed a treat, you know, because I'd done so well, you know. So after that, I was still buzzing with recovery and that because I'd had 59 days clean. You know, this was like a big thing for me. I had a relapse. It went on a couple of days and I was back in the rooms and I probably picked up a couple of weeks. Then I relapsed again. Then a couple of weeks or a couple of months and I relapsed again. And it went like that until I got 14 months of clean time, you know, which is the longest period of clean time I've ever had. And during that time, mate, my whole life changed. You know, my whole life changed. You know, you're surprised how much your own mind holds you back. Nothing else. You know, there's no other obstructions in this world than ourselves. You know, and once I got onto that, and it was like, my mind's like a battlefield, mate. It's like it now. It's like it all the time. You know, it's like a constant, I've got to constantly keep it in check. You know, I've got to constantly cast things out.
Do you feel like you're in survival mode constantly?
Yes. You know, I do. It's like a battleground. You know, it's like I'm constantly trying to fortify my mind, because everywhere we look, everything we see and hear and everything, it's all like designed to mess you up. You know, it's all designed to kill your dreams, to keep you down, to make you settle for less, to make you keep your mouth shut, you know, and it's all designed that way. And the more you get onto it and the more you fortify your mind and you get your train of thought, you know, in the way you want it to go, you know, things change, you know, and things changed massively for me. I've been a couple of months into my biggest stint of clean time, and the phone rang and it was the BKFC. It was a manager, a representative of the BKFC. And he said, you know, this fight that we were talking about, it had millions of hits and it had gone all over America and they'd seen it. So, yeah, he said, do you want a 3-fight contract, you know, for the BKFC? And I'm fit and ready and I'm firing and I'm doing a bit of training and that again now.
And just explain what the BKFC is for people that don't know.
Yeah, it's the biggest bare knuckle platform on earth. You know, it's massive. You know, it really is big.